What is up, guys? It is Saturday. We're in the garage. It is 8:30. We've got our coffee, and this is our next project. Alright, so what are we going to be doing to it? You know, we've got a nice truck in the garage in here today, and the guy messaged me online and asked, hey, do you know anybody that can do cab mount relocation kits? What he's run into is he's got 33s on here. He's already scrubbing on the factory cab mounts in this thing, and he's told me he's got a kit from All Pro. He wants to put a larger tire on this thing eventually, and he wants to be able to clear 35. And he said he seemed to find a couple of people that seem to be scared of the project. And I said, well, it don't look to be too much to it. Bring it over, we'll knock it out. Got it in here, and I'll show you what we got. Bring it around here to the driver's side. All right, so that big hunk of steel right there, that is the driver's side cab mount, front cab mount. And as you can see, there's not a lot of room right there between this tire and that cab mount. These are only 33s on this truck. You want to go to 35, you're scrubbing all day long with that. Since I don't know the truck's planning on running 35s eventually, he's got a brand new set of 33s on there. He'll probably let them wear down, but eventually he's going to run 35s on this truck. And we can't be having it scrub anytime we turn more than a quarter turn on the steering wheel. So we've got this cab mount relocation kit on here. We're going to throw on it today, and what that does is it allows all kind of room. This is how the frame's going to be. It's going to allow all kind of room. It's going to put the mount back behind the firewall and allow you to turn the wheel without getting into it. And we're going to start installing this by getting it up on the jack, pulling the front tire off, and see what we got. All right, now we can see what we got going on here. So like I said, that tire there is only a 33, and that's a good looking tire. But hey, it is scrubbing already, man. We got to get rid of that cab mount, get that thing moved back where he can run what tire he wants. All right, now to get started, first thing you'll have to do is remove a trim pad here and a trim pad here, and that's to gain access to this kick pad here. Now these should be able to just take a trim tool, stick up underneath and pop loose. All right, once we get those off, we'll peel back the carpet. If you can see down in there, there's a little Phillips head on that. And there's one more up top down in here. We're gonna fish those out. We gotta get this trim pad or kick pad out. That is to gain access to the driver's side cab mount. Let's get it off. Okay, well, there's the kick pad pulled out of the way. We can pop this cover off and gain access to our cab mount bolt. All right, now before we go loosen that bolt for the body mount, let's take a measurement. And that way we can put this thing back with the new body mount back to where it is currently, and that'll help alleviate any kind of gaps and seams of the body. All right, we're hard mounted on a jack stand here. So, hey, safety first, or third, or whatever it is to you. Just don't get yourself hurt or killed. Don't go dead on us. But we're gonna measure this thing, and we're gonna write down a number. That way there's no guessing as to what it was when we go back. This number shouldn't change, unless we have a blowout or something, because we're sitting on a jack stand. Our jack can't leak down. All right, I'm gonna measure from this front bolt right here to the ground. We are sitting at 22 inches and a half. 22 and a half. The first bolt on the fender. We'll write that down. All right, we got our measurement wrote down here. That's 22 and a half inches from the bottom of the fender at our first bolt on the driver's side. Okay, we've come down here. Oh, I've sprayed a little penetrating gold on this bolt. And let me grab an impact and a 17 millimeter socket, I believe, and we will get that ripped right off there. All right, there's that. With the nut backed off on the bottom, now we can come in here and pull our cab mount bolt out the top. With the pressure off the cab mount, I'm gonna come back. This is more for me. I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm gonna come back and measure that same spot one more time to see how much that relieved, the pressure on the bushings relieved whenever we back the pressure off that cab mount bolt. And it actually did not move, so we're still at 22 and a half inches, and that is good to know. That way, we know when we go to tighten this thing down on the new bushings that we don't need to just, where it sits is where it's gonna sit. We need to draw it up tight and leave it. We don't need to just crunch those bushings at a lot of pressure on it. All right, guys, with the body mount bolt out, you can take a 2x4 or a 4x4 and put it on the jack. Slide it up in here on the flat piece of the body and jack that thing up just a little bit, just until you start seeing the body come up, and that'll give you about a 1/2 inch of clearance between this body mount bushing and the body mount. Then you'll come in here, there's a 12 millimeter socket, 12 millimeter head bolt right here. We'll undo that, undo a clip here, and a clip right in here. That will allow you to take this wire loom and roll that piece of the harness back up out of the way. You do not want to damage this harness. That will be an expensive, time-consuming fix. You can see here we've got our wire loom up out of the way with the clips popped loose and our 12 millimeter bolt backed off. I took a zip tie, gently zip tied it around a brake line just to hold it back. It's not pressure on the brake line, so no need to worry about that. I've taken a paint marker and about 1 inch off the frame all the way around the bottom side and the front and back of this cab mount. I've marked where I'm going to cut. I'm going to leave about 1 inch there where I can come back in here and trim this off and get a good clean finish on this frame before I go mounting up the new one. We'll use a Sawzall. Don't want to use a grinder on this kind of stuff. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't. It's a nice truck. Don't want to sling sparks all over it no more than I have to, so I'm going to use a Sawzall. And it ain't every day that you get to take a Sawzall to a probably $35,000 truck, but we are today. Right. Well, there it is after, I don't know, a good 20, 30, I don't know, it was a good bit of Sawzalling. We have the driver's side cab mount cut loose. We've left ourselves plenty of room where we can come back in there and grind this all down. Let me show you something on these Toyotas. Look at all that debris that is just sitting inside that cab mount. These things have holes in the top, holes in the side, bottom, where all that debris can get in there, and that just sits. That can, collect moisture, contain moisture. So this is not really a bad idea to do all this. Some of that's metal shavings, but a good bit of that is dirt and debris. So now we'll take and put us a cut here and here, here, and here, and we'll take and fillet this all back with a cutoff wheel and get close down to the welds. That way, when we go take our buffer disc, all we gotta do is clean off welds. We don't have to clean off the rest of this metal and material. Y'all take a look at where we're at now. So I've gone through and I've taken cutoff wheel and trimmed off everything I could trim off and safely stay out of the base metal, which is the frame. So right now I've got a flapper wheel and I'm going through here and I'm just buffing all this down. It's all gonna look like this when we're done. We're gonna have this down to bare, clean metal, and it's gonna look super nice. But right now we're gonna get the rest of this off and I'll show you what it looks like when we get to the finished product. Well, after quite a bit of time grinding and buffing and really getting rid of all these old welds, we've got this bracket all completely gone. Y'all take a look here. After a ton of grinding, we are done removing the old bracket or mount. And let me tell you, that looks good, man. We've got that polished down to slick, bare base metal, and we'll be able to weld our new body mount right to that. But before we get to the body mount, we got something we got to do here. We've got to remove this old anti-rotation keeper that locks into the floorboard. So what we're going to do there is we're just going to place it in here, like so in the vise. Hit that with the top of the hammer, and it should push off the little spline fit down there. Also, before these are ready to install, you need to go through and paint the top, all of it really, except where you're going to weld. So where we're going to weld is the inside all the way around. On the outside, we're going to weld the sides. We're not going to weld the top, so we're going to go ahead and have that painted. This thing is designed not to have to weld the top to begin with. So everything painted except where you're going to weld. All right, so we're going to get this anti-rotation bolt. I say all right at the very beginning of every clip. I don't know why. All right, what? Well, all right, we're going to get this anti-rotation clip off of this bolt. And all we're going to do this is get, I said I was going to use a vise, but this vise isn't bolted down to this table yet. So we're going to take a hammer and a socket that will fit over the head of the bolt. And we're just going to tap it like there 2 times. Pop right out. Now we're going to take our grade 8 hardware we've got here, and we're going to tack weld this anti-rotation bolt or anti-rotation keeper on the head of the bolt. So I'm going to set this here. I'm going to set up the welder, then we'll tack it in place. We've got the mount in place. We've got it torqued to 34 foot-pounds, which is what All Pro calls for. And we've got it bushing, mount, bushing, washer, nut, torqued. So we've got it in place. We've got it torqued. Now we're going to lower our jack down to where we get our 22.5 from that pinch weld or body mount, whatever body, what is that? I guess the fender mounts the body straight down to the ground. And that should tell us when we got it at the right height so we can tack it all in place. All right, so we got our wire loom pulled back down on top of the new body mount. Let's lower this thing down and get our 22.5. Still a little bit high, and they come down about another 3/16 of an inch. Let's see where that's got us. Still just a little high, about 1/16 high. Oh yeah, it's perfect, 22.5 degrees. Now that we got it at 22.5 degrees, listen to me, 22.5 inches. So now that we're at 22.5 inches, we're gonna put 4 real good tack welds on this thing, undo the bolts, pick it back up, pick the body back up, put our wire loom back on top of the frame. We're gonna weld it in place. All right, we've got our wires out of the way. We've got our body mount bushings out. We're ready to weld this thing in place. Well, all of our welding is done on this driver's side. Unfortunately, the camera died midway through the welding, so you got to see some of it, didn't get to see all of it. But I will show you my welds. I'm not scared. I ain't no welder though. Here we go. I said that don't look too bad. Like I said, I ain't no welder, but I know they will hold for this application. And honestly, it looks pretty good. So once this cools down good, we're gonna go ahead and paint it up and start reassembly. All right guys, we got paint done on it. Take a look here, see what we got. We are gonna do one more coat once we get it all put together, but now it's time to put the bushings in. After we got it painted, I went ahead and reinstalled the bushings. Went ahead and torqued the nut. So pretty much, oh, and I also dropped the jack. And it is at the correct height, that 22.5 inches. So pretty much we're done. We are done, guys. I gave it a little bit more spray paint, just because I found a spot I missed. Plus I wanted to do a little rust prevention on the bolt and nut and washer that's sticking out the bottom of this thing. Let's take a look at it. All right, guys, man, that looks like a good factory install. Check that out. That is what we got. All right, guys, bushings are in and torqued. 34 foot-pounds, don't forget that. So let's go ahead and put our stomp pad back in, then we'll put our trim pieces back on as well. All right, guys, there you have it. There's your install. We are done. Let's get this tire put back on and get it on the ground. We are done with the driver's side. Now, the passenger side is the exact same thing. Like I said earlier, or I may or may not have said earlier, I don't really remember at this point. But the other side doesn't have that pesky wire loom and harness you've got to deal with. You don't have to stick it up over the frame. So it's pretty much more, it's pretty much more straightforward than this is. Now, I'm gonna let y'all handle that side, because if y'all can handle the driver's side, you can definitely handle that side. I've helped you with the driver's side, so hey, I got faith in you. I know you got it. Ball game's coming on. I'm gonna watch it while I do this passenger side. Thanks for watching, guys. Y'all come back, like, and subscribe. Appreciate it.